You've probably seen the TV shows. Hackers caught in minutes, keyboards clacking, flashy graphics everywhere. Well, forget all that. We're about to go behind the digital yellow tape and show you what a real cybercrime investigation looks like. It's a whole lot more meticulous and, frankly, a lot more interesting.
So, picture this. Your company's network is breached. Systems are going down, alarms are blaring, and data is flying out the door. It's chaos. What's the very first move? Because what happens in those first few moments isn't just about stopping the attack, it's about making a crucial decision that changes everything.
The second an attack is confirmed, you're at a fork in the road. And the path you take boils down to one simple question. Do we just want to patch this up and move on? Or do we want to find out who did this and make sure they're held accountable?
And that one question leads to two completely different game plans. On one side, you've got protect and forget. This is all about speed. The mission is simple: find the breach, kick the intruder out, patch the hole, and get back to business as fast as possible. But then there's the other philosophy: apprehend and prosecute. Look at how the priorities shift. One of the first steps is contacting law enforcement. And instead of just kicking the intruder out, the goal is to carefully isolate the system, document absolutely everything, and collect evidence. This is the moment an IT problem officially becomes a crime scene.
So let's say the company decides to go for it. They want to prosecute. Well, you don't just call the IT help desk. No, you bring in the specialists. This is the digital equivalent of a SWAT team or a crime scene unit.
This core team has three key players. First, you've got the incident manager. They're the lead detective, the one in charge of the whole operation. Then there's the scribe, whose only job is to be the team's memory, writing down every single thing that happens. And finally, you have the imager. This is the tech expert, the one who actually handles and collects the digital evidence. Each person has a very specific role to make sure nothing gets missed.
Okay, the team is on site. Their number one rule, their prime directive, is do no harm. Just like you wouldn't walk through a puddle of blood at a murder scene, you don't just start clicking around on a compromised computer. The digital scene has to be preserved exactly as it was found.
And they come prepared. This isn't your average toolbox. A forensic field kit is full of specialized gear, evidence bags, logging forms, and most importantly, sterile hard drives that are certified to be completely empty. Every single tool is designed for one purpose: to gather evidence without changing the original source by so much as a single bit of data.
Before anyone even thinks about touching a keyboard, the documentation begins. They take pictures of everything: the back of the computer, how the cables are plugged in, what's on the screen. The scribe is busy in the corner logging every single detail into their field notes. It's all about creating a perfect snapshot of that moment in time.
All right, with the scene completely documented and secured, it's time to collect the evidence. This is really the heart of digital forensics, creating a perfect, legally sound copy of the data.
Now, we're not talking about a simple copy and paste job. Investigators create what's called a forensic image. Think of it like a perfect digital clone of the hard drive. It's a bit-for-bit copy that gets everything, not just the files you see, but also deleted files, hidden data, even fragments of old information. It's a complete digital time capsule.
But how can they prove it's a perfect clone? With math. It's like giving the original hard drive a unique digital fingerprint, called a cryptographic hash. First, they calculate that fingerprint. Then, they make the bit-by-bit copy. Once the copy is done, they calculate a new fingerprint for it. If those two fingerprints, these long, complex strings of characters, match perfectly, it is mathematical proof that the copy is absolutely identical and hasn't been tampered with.
They often use specialized hardware just for this. This device is a hero of the process. It connects to the original drive and the new sterile drive, and it acts as a write blocker. That means it physically makes it impossible to write any new data to the original evidence. You can only read from it, which guarantees you can't contaminate the crime scene.
So, the evidence has been collected perfectly. Now the action moves from the crime scene to the lab. This is where analysts take that perfect clone and start digging for clues.
They use incredibly powerful software, like the program you see here called Autopsy, to sift through mountains of data. These tools are amazing. They can pull up deleted files, piece together web browsing history, and create a searchable index of every single word on the drive. It lets investigators follow the digital breadcrumbs and reconstruct what happened.
And all of this deep dive analysis is guided by some very basic, classic detective questions. Who or what created this file? Where did it come from? When was it made or last touched? How did it get here? And what other files or events is it connected to? By answering these fundamental questions over and over again, a clear picture of the crime starts to take shape.
Okay, so weeks, maybe even months later, the analysis is done. The investigators have their story. But all that work is completely useless if the evidence can't be presented in a court of law. And this is where something called the chain of custody becomes absolutely critical. It's a log, a diary, that tracks the evidence's every move. It documents every person who's ever touched it, every time it was analyzed, and everywhere it's been stored. If there's a single broken link in that chain, one unexplained gap, a good defense lawyer can argue to have the evidence thrown out, and the whole case could fall apart.
This brings us back to another tough decision for the company that got hit. Do we call law enforcement? On the one hand, yes, they have the legal authority to get search warrants and the resources to handle a big case. But on the other hand, the moment you call them, you lose control. And there's a real chance they'll walk in and seize your main servers as evidence, potentially shutting down your business for months. It's a huge gamble. You know, digital forensics isn't just for cybercrime anymore. Think about it. From fraud cases to messy divorces to murder investigations, pretty much every crime leaves a digital trail. The phone in your pocket, your laptop, even your car's GPS, they're all potential witnesses. And it leaves us with a really big question for the world we live in now. Is there even such a thing as a crime scene that isn't also a digital one?